Welcome back to 651 Customs. In this episode, we're going to get this 1980 ramp truck back on the road. I finally got a title for this thing. If you watched the last video, I mentioned I didn't have one. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I got to pull the transmission down out of the way and get the clutch freed up. The clutch disc is stuck to the flywheel. So we're going to get that freed up, get the clutch working, and see if this thing will run and drive. Okay, a lot of people may not remember last episode, but I got this thing down in Tennessee somewhere, and I managed to get a title for it using the Tennessee paperwork. So if you're a resident and the vehicle's a certain age and all this stuff, you can get a title pretty easily. You'll notice it's got a regular wheel sticking out really far in the front. It's supposed to be a dually wheel. I did finally get a good set of dually rims and tires to put on the back of this thing, as you can see, thanks to the gaping hole in the side of the bed. I gotta buy some sheet metal or something, fix that up, fix that. I've never seen something rust like this before, so we'll get some sheet metal, get that fixed sometime down the road. So go ahead and look under the hood here. I took that carburetor I had on it off for something else. I got to put that back on. Hopefully that kept the moss out. I doubt it. So, oh, and this thing has a Duraspark. It's been leaking. You can see there's some goo that's come out of it. Ooh, let me get a better angle. Oh yeah, you see the shiny sticking to my finger. I don't know what that is, but it's not good. Let's see what we got in here. I did already pull this off, so it's not gonna surprise me, but ow, completely full of fluid. It is murky, but it's full, and that means that we don't have a leak. So full is good. I can live with that. So that might work. Let's go ahead and look at the inside, I guess. I gotta get a battery for this thing too, so remind me to do that. Let's go ahead and look on the inside. Already rolled the window down because it is scorching hot in here. It's got that rotten foam smell that these trucks get after the dash self-destructs. That is, look how much curl. That's curled up. Wow, that's really bad. You can buy these top pieces. They're not super expensive, I don't think. But yeah, and wow, someone's already done the radio cutout thing. So that makes it really easy to put a full-size radio in here, since, you know, it's already been cut out. So that's great. Ashtrayage. Shifter, I already pulled the boot up because I was looking in here to see what's going on with what. This thing is disgusting. But as you can see, it's got the 4-speed. It's a 5-speed if you count reverse as a speed. Just saying, you know. See, 30,679 miles, probably 330 or something like that. The pedals are, brake pedals worn out pretty good. Let's see if it's got them. Oh yeah. Oh, that's stiff. We might have brakes. Oh, we might have we got good pressure platage, but we might not have good clutchage. I'll just have to take it apart and see. Nothing on the pedal because there's no carb hooked up. And look at that, we've got keyage. So even got keyage here. Nothing happens though, it's weird. Okay, I was just messing with the key lock thing here. I don't know how to get it to, how do you get the key to come out? I don't know. I thought there was a button back here somewhere, but I guess not. And then I got to messing with this, and wow, I've never seen that route before. It's bad. What is this? Is this the key lock thing? Oh, that's the key lock thing, isn't it? Hit that with there. Oh, there we go. Figured it out. Yeah, that's the key lock button. So, yeah. Here we go. Keyage. So, that's great news. Ooh, we got spark pluggage too, so that might tell a tale. Odd lights. At least they're the good ones. I don't remember it being four-wheel drive. Oh, that's locked. Locked. Nope. Must go to something else because this is two-wheel drive. So, but that's the interior. Got anything in here? Oh yeah, all kinds of nothing. There's nothing. So, yeah. Gotta lift the door up to shut it. These hinges bad. So, yeah, as you can see, wrong tires in the front. I got a, oh yeah, no lock, not four-wheel drive. Wonder what that came off of, that hub gap thing. But anyway, so I did get this thing run. So we're gonna go get the parts for the carburetor stuff, throw that on. First thing I gotta do is pull that transmission out, or just kind of, if I can get it back out of the way, just a couple inches, you know, I can get in there and see if I can free up that spinny thingy on the flywheel, pressure plate, clutch disc. If I can get the clutch disc freed up off the flywheel, this thing should be able to drive it. I may, if I can get it far apart enough, I'll get some sandpaper in there and clean it up best I can. But not looking to spend any money, just trying to get it to drive. So I'm gonna go ahead and set the camera up. Probably just go ahead and pull the trans, get it down out of the way. Not really much to see there other than the trans just kind of flopping down. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that, and I'll see you guys in a minute. All right, progress report. Let me explain what's going on here. I've got this board across here because I've got everything disconnected from the bell housing and all that stuff. Everything's unbolted. I'm afraid the engine's going to tilt back. So what I'm going to do is attach a ratchet strap or something, and see if I can attach it around this board somehow, and then to the engine, and hopefully hold the engine up forward where it needs to be, and then when I pull the trans back out of the way, it doesn't try and tilt back with it. So that's kind of the plan. On the inside here, I also pulled the cover plate. It wasn't bolted down at all. Everything was rusted out. So went ahead and pulled that out of the way. Got on top of the transmission here, and went ahead and knocked all the mud daubers off of the transmission for the most part. I've got the drive shaft off. It's laying down there. U-joint felt okay-ish. Pretty loose, but not like a lot of play or anything. Just gonna run them for now because I want to put it on the road, and then I'll make it reliable later, because things like that are easy to change. The clutch is not easy to change, but honestly, it took me like 30 minutes to get to this point, and I've got the trans unbolted, drive shaft unbolted, clutch linkage disconnected. I've got, yeah, it's pretty much ready to come out. I just gotta like lift it up off the mount a little bit, and then I'm gonna scoot it back, and hopefully I can get it back far enough where I can get in there to the clutch, which I think I can without having to take this thing all the way out. So I'm gonna go ahead and get under here with the jack, start jacking it up, see what I can do, and I'll be back with more progress in a minute. Alright, I've got updates. I got the transmission separated. I was able to get it back far enough by just sitting it on the cross member ratchet strap for safety. Jack hauled it up a little bit and scooted it back out of the way, and that's a pretty decent looking pressure plate there. And over here we got a brand new clutch, or at least it looks brand new. I don't see like any wear on that, or at least any I don't see any significant wear. I mean, that thing looks, you can still see the lines. Wow, yeah, that's like a brand new clutch. So now that we know the clutch is good but stuck, we need to unstick the stuck. So how do you do that? I don't know. I'm gonna get a screwdriver and maybe a scraper and something and gently hammer on it a little bit and see what I can do. Hopefully I can get this thing unstuck off here in one piece so I can reuse it, because it looks, I mean, it looks decent. I don't know, it looks brand new in my opinion, but you know how it goes with old trucks and parts. You never know what's new and what's used. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the tools and see if I can scrape or pry or force this thing off of here. Okay, I wish I had that on video. I'm not even kidding. It's been 2 seconds since that last clip. All I did is take this little screwdriver, stick it under the edge, and just twist a little bit. And the freaking thing just fell out of there. This is a brand new clutch. There's no way. It doesn't even have any dust on it from wear at all. Wow. I think somebody did some work to this truck and then just parked it. I don't know. I'm going to take this down to the shop, see if I can find the centering tool, and attempt to put this back together. It's going to be tough because the way this thing is sitting up in here, it's really tight. So I might end up trying to move the cross member or something crazy. I don't know. So I'm going to go get the centering tool for that and slap this thing back together. All right, got the clutch out laying here. Got the pressure plate out. This thing looks pretty decent. I'm going to take this 220 grit. It's made for a oscillating grinder, sander, singer, whatever they call them. So just going to take this and sand it down, get all the rust off there, make it look nice and shiny. It's really surface rust. It's not pitted at all. I think someone put a new clutch in this, a bunch of new parts on it, and then just parked it, I guess. Used it for a little bit and parked it. So really impressed so far with what I'm seeing. Found the old clutch alignment tool. This thing has been around for a long time. So not fit, but we're gonna get this put back together, and I guess we'll try and drive it. Well, I should probably put a carburetor on it first, huh? I was holding the engine up with this piece of wood. It was kind of working, kind of not. So I went underneath, put a jack under it to help, which is a lot safer. So just so you know, I'm safe. I have a jack too, not just that rotten piece of lumber. So, but let's go ahead and get this put back in here. Throw the transmission back on the engine and get the carburetor situation figured out. And I guess after that I'll have to do fuel. So I'll see you guys then. Okay, went ahead and took sandpaper and cleaned up the flywheel pretty good. Got the pilot bearing cleaned out, all the debris if there was any. And I wiped it down with mineral spirits because that's what I had. Actually, it looks like I could wipe it some more, but that part's done. Alright, also went ahead and took the sandpaper to the pressure plate. And you can see the staining in it, but it's smooth as can be. Just stains. And I cleaned up the clutch disc with the mineral spirits as well, and a little bit of sandpaper. I didn't do too much. Still got some staining from the rust, but I think it'll be just fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and start slapping this together. All right, I got the clutch installed. It's really close. Got a crap load of grease ready to go on the everything, so that should be something. But wow, I cannot get any further back than that. This camera just zooms in too much. But yeah, clutch is in there. It's all tightened down good. So I'm gonna go ahead and attempt to push the transmission back up to the engine and bolt this thing together. Alright, I've got the drive shaft stuff back in there. Transmission is bolted in. Mount. Got the clutch on there. Clutch spring. Starter's bolted on. Carrier bearing bolted on. The U-joints felt like they would work. So that's pretty much it for the driveline stuff. The clutch feels good when you press the pedal, so I'm gonna go ahead and move up top now, and I'll probably film this stuff when I put the carburetor on and whatnot, just to have some footage, because I haven't filmed anything so far, but it was really just move the trans out of the way, do the clutch, put the trans back. So I'm back where I started now, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the fuel system stuff sorted out. Alright, first thing I need to do here is get some nuts on these. Somebody has tried to do a steering job on this thing, and I guess they gave up. It seems like all the things I've seen so far, it looks like someone has started a restoration or just trying to get this thing on the road, and then they gave up midway through. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the, well, that one threads on, well, until it gets to that point. We'll go ahead and put some castle nuts on here just for safety purposes. If I was pointing at them, there we go. Horrible camera guy. Not when I can see the camera, but when I gotta work with one hand, I am. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these tightened up and get the cotter pins in. So get this done, then we'll put that carb on finally. Okay, I've got the cotter pins in there. Those are looking good enough. I don't care what they say about bending cotter pins back. You can do it however you want. As long as you've got something to hold it from spinning, you'll be just fine. So, got those in. Gonna move up top now. Alright, first thing I'm gonna do is on the back of the engine there, the oil pressure thinger is bad, the line's bad. So I've got this other line. I'm considering using this one because the line's good, but I don't know. Okay, instead of using this one, I might just see if there's enough line left inside there to get the old one where I need it. If there's not enough line left, I'll just have to go buy some little copper line or whatever it is. This stuff, after a while, it cracks and breaks. So I don't know how long that one's been in there, but after like probably 20 years, as soon as I touched it on the firewall there, bent it back, it kind of just broke in half. So we're really lucky that didn't happen while I had this thing running that last video I did on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that pulled out. This is the one that was in it. It's pretty cool, older unit. I've never heard of Suntune, so wow, I just bend that and it snaps. This is why they tell you not to run this old line, because it just breaks so easily. There's no bulb. See, I like the older stuff like this because a lot of it's made of metal, whereas the newer stuff is plastic. So it is what it is. But I'm gonna go ahead and put the new one in there, I guess, just so I can monitor, and also just to plug the hole. Eventually I will get that copper line, but for now we'll run this. Okay, so here's what has been decided. I'm gonna go to the parts store. Well, maybe not use that one, I guess. I'm gonna go to the parts store and get some line to run to this thing. And since this comes off easily once I make the line, I might swap the gauges around, see which one is accurate, just out of curiosity kind of thing, or see how they compare. I mean, so I'll get some line, and I don't know, I gotta figure out what else I need. So I'm gonna go ahead and set the carburetor down on there just to keep stuff out of the engine, because that's not good. So Now, don't laugh at my miniature air cleaner. It's what I had. I don't have any other air cleaners in stock right now either, so we may be running that for our test drive, which will be fine. It flows a little bit. That's all it needs. Let's see, put it on the front way. This is the carb I had this thing running on before, so should be good still. I do know that it needs a gasket because somebody, I don't know who, but somebody was beating on the side of it to get it to stop doing the thing. That wasn't what was wrong with it. The beating didn't help, so I'll go ahead and get this tightened down, I guess. I really need to quit for the night, so we'll do this and come back tomorrow with some oil pressure line. Might have to get some fuel line. I need to look at that before I leave. I don't want to buy that stuff because it is expensive, but gotta have it to make it run, so. Alright, so that's good for now. I gotta see what my fuel lines look like, get this thing, see what I need for next time I come back. This is the original fuel situation. It's plugged. So maybe the mud daubers saved the fuel line. Doubt it. It didn't pump any fuel last time, so the pump's probably bad too. But we'll find out. I'm gonna blow in that and see what happens. Completely clogged, so that's a good sign. When I took that off, I just left the thing in there because it's hard to pull off. So, okay, I remember now. It looks like we cut the fuel line down there so it wouldn't pump any gas in case there's anything bad in the tank. So that's good. I am noticing this extra fuel line here. For some reason it has an extra fuel line. So I wonder if this is how they had it running or what. Okay, so that one's clogged too, but that is another fuel line that somebody's added. So someone's tried to get this thing to run. I'm gonna have to climb underneath and see what's going on. But I think I'm gonna save that for tomorrow. I'm done for the night, so see you guys in like 10 seconds. Okay, I went ahead and started pulling the fuel tank because I can't get the parts I need to do the carburetor stuff yet and get any of that working. But I did notice the fuel system on the fuel tank. It's got a drain plug underneath. I'll show you now. Okay, so underneath the fuel tank, it's got this drain plug, and you can see how it's a little wet there. It's got some fuel. You can see where it's got some fuel leaking out there. So I went ahead and started pulling it out pretty easy. Just a couple straps holding it down to the cross member there, and then a homemade cross member in the front. I'm gonna lower it down so I can get that block moved over to the tanks, to the strap. I was just trying to get all the bolt holes. Go ahead and set that down. There we go. Okay, and then we'll move this back to the tank itself. There we go. This is a pretty heavy tank, and it's got some liquid in it. I was sloshing it around. There we go. Okay. There we go. And now we're off the cross member. Push that back out of the way. Now I'm going to go on the other side. Get those lines out of the way, because when I drop this down, it's going to pull on them. And I want them to be underneath the cross member so they don't get caught. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing out here, then we'll look at it. Alright, I got the fuel tank out, and this thing is massive. There's a dolly or whatever, creeper I guess, for scale. So this thing is huge, but got it down here to the shop. This thing's really heavy too, and that is some thick, they use straight up pipe like black iron pipe or whatever for the fill. That's crazy. And for anyone curious about what the tag says, it is a, I don't know, you can pause it and read that if you want. Automotive fuel tank, 30 gallons, Scottsburg, Indiana. So that's pretty cool. Okay, frogs are loud, but I'm gonna put these tires on real quick, put some hearing protection in, because they get ridiculously loud. So let's get these on the rims, and that'll get the fronts done. I did end up buying tires for the rear, but they were used, so brand new ones on the front, used on the rear. Should be just fine. They're the same size, so let's do it. Okay, I got the tires on. You should be seeing the clip of me putting them on now. So taking the old one off, kind of hard. I kind of forgot how to do it there, but I did eventually get it off. So putting the new ones on, I had to remember that too. But figured it out. It was pretty easy. So just slung the rim down there to get it seated, and got the tire spoon, I guess they call it, and started going around the rim to get it mounted on there. So now that I've got them on there, what I'll do is turn the tire around, and on the back side of it there, I take the hammer and beat on it a little bit to see if I can get the idea is to try and get the rim to seat on the tire to seat on the rim just enough to hold it, and that way when you flip it over, you can push the front of the rim, and the back of it will stay seated enough where you can put the air hose on it. Now the important part is to put the air hose on it without a chuck in it and without the valve stem, because you want as much air as you can get at one time. So without the air chuck and without the valve stem, you put the air hose on the empty valve stem without the core, and it'll inflate it really quick and seat your bead. So flip it over, get the backside of the bead seated enough to hold, flip it back over, push on it enough to seal the front side of the bead, stick the hose on it with no core, and it pops right out, airs right up. So and then after I get that aired up, I'll take the core and go ahead and put that in there with the core installation tool. So and with the core installed, you can just go ahead and air it up like you normally would. I'm airing these up to 80 psi just to make sure they get seated good. And once I get them on the truck, I'll see how they wear, how they sit and all that, and then air them down or up or whatever I need to do to make it right. So that's how I like to install tires without having a bead blaster, or I didn't even use any lube or anything to get it to slide on easy. I just spoon it on the hard way, just force it, you know. But it's pretty simple. It just takes a lot of strength. Maybe not a lot of strength if you can get in the rear at the right angles. But as you can see, now I've got the tires done and they're looking pretty good. So, all right, I've got the fuel tank here. I just realized I should be filming this. So it flipped upside down, drained all the fuel out, and I've been hitting it with the grinding, well, the cheek poker, they call it, in the angle grinder. So as you can see, we've got major problems. I did hit this with some penetrant and try to get it out. It's not coming out easy, so probably put some heat to it. The fuel in this thing is not flammable as like it used to be, at least. So probably put heat to that. Probably fill it with water before I do that, actually, just to be safe. But so yeah, this is where I'm at. I could probably cut this bottom portion off and weld it on, but the issue is it's a fuel tank, so I don't know. I've been researching epoxy solutions to fill these holes. If I can like fill it with like some sort of JB weld, tank weld, or whatever they call it, and then on the inside of the tank, if I can get it cleaned out and coat it in something, that'll really if I can get it coated in something, that'll fix the problem on the inside and fill the holes in. Shouldn't have any more issues. But yeah, there's a lot of pitting, so I'm not sure if I can save this tank. I'm gonna try, but sometimes things you just can't save them all. So I'm just gonna keep going here with this cheek poker, and I guess I'll set the camera up and film it. Alright, I got the tank all cleaned up. Missed a spot. That's okay. Alright, I already filmed a little bit inside here, but I'll go back in and we'll take another peek. So, sidewalls look pretty good. The bottom is bad. Bottom's pretty bad, but the sides are decent. So, can't see. Go around like this, then I can see. It's got a baffle in it. The tube sticks down in the bottom, very bottom of the tank. It's the pickup tube. So it's pretty rough over that way. I'm gonna take this thing to the car wash and car wash it, pressure wash it, whatever. Stick the hose down in there or the end of the nozzle and swirl it around and get as many angles as I can. That'll help get a lot of rust out of it. I'll do that and throw a bunch of hardware in there, see if I can slosh it around while I'm driving and whatnot. And I've got another cinder I can put in it, but I think that one that came out will work. Alright, this is the level cinder. It's rough, but I think it might work. I might just test the ohms and see if I've got one that matches and do a brand new one. But I think I can clean this up. I'm going to try to clean it up anyways. I've got this leftover sound deadening from another project, and this is butyl rubber. This stuff is fuel resistant, acid resistant, slightly oil resistant. It's not super oil resistant, but it is gas resistant, fuels, alcohol resistant. So this stuff resists a lot of things, and it doesn't like harden or anything. You can stick this on and it will stop a fuel tank from leaking if you're ever in a pinch. I might do that to this tank, but we'll see. I may weld it. I'll probably just fill it with water and weld it, to be honest. I mean, I can. The gas that's in it is not very flammable. The wheel I was using when I was grinding on this was throwing a lot of sparks, none of which caused any of this to ignite. So this stuff's not very flammable. If it was, I'd have a bucket of gas on fire right now. So yeah. Alright, I think I know what I'm gonna do, because I don't want this to leak, but I want to put something in it like water or something so I can have it sloshing around. I'm gonna put some of that kill mat on this stuff just to get this to stop leaking, and I'm gonna fill it with a water vinegar mix. Okay, so I got curious, took off my butyl rubber, well, sound deadening patch job, and this thing's kind of smoking a little bit. Went ahead and cut this off with an angle grinder. If my camera will focus, you can see the amount of pitting. Like, this is, it's crazy how that deteriorated the way it did. That's all attached. That's crazy. So, and even like down in here, it dug down into it. So the way that's rusted, I probably could have done a tank coat or something, but there was no way to get in there and get these big chunks of rust off. So instead of trying to coat it and then that fell and all that, I decided to just cut it off and go inside and see what I can see. Top of the tank looks good enough. I need to get all this rust out, or all the chunks. I can't leave any chunks in there, so get all the chunks out. Side walls look good. You don't see underneath. Okay, so the inside bottom of the tank actually looks decent enough. Probably getting there with a disc on here or something. See if I can like clean it or something, I don't know. This is sharp, so I'll probably have to sand that, grind it down a little bit before I try and get in there and go nuts with a grinder or a wire wheel, I guess. So I'm gonna probably just put a plate over this and that'll fix the tank. And then what I'll do on the outside of the tank is we got the big tubes of JB Weld, so I'm going to take a sanding thing, sand it with the lowest grit that I've got to make a really nice surface on here, and then I'm going to just coat it in JB Weld, the entire bottom outside of the tank. So first I'll get a new plate welded on. I was thinking about trying to save this plug, and I cleaned it up really good on the outside, but it's just too far gone and it won't come out. So we may look into other plug options, maybe see what I got laying around and figure something out there. But I'm gonna go ahead and tape off the openings and stuff. Well, vacuum it out. I'm gonna tape off the opening down there and the fill thing, whichever side that's on, and that way I can fill this thing with water, like as much as I can get in there. That'll also tell me if it leaks anywhere else. But I want to fill it with water as much as I can possibly, and that way when I weld it, there's like less chance of issues or problems happening. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I think I'll try and use a 5-gallon bucket and just dump it in. So get this vacuumed out first as much as I can. Probably clean this up first because I've got to get in there. So I'm gonna set the camera up and go ahead and get started. Alright, I got the tank done. Well, pretty much. Gotta let it dry now. So, you saw me weld that plate in. I was gonna fill it with water, and then I realized that the gas that was in it was not flammable. The tank has set for a number of years. So, I decided it would be fine. I've filled it with water and vinegar to get some of the rust out. Then I pressure washed it at the car wash. That helped a lot. And then I stuck my whole arm in there and used a wire brush all over the inside and vacuumed it out. And then used the air hose to air hose it out. So there was no fumes or vapors or gas left in it. Only thing that could have been in it is what would have been in the metal, but it was so old in the first place that it wouldn't ignite. So I went ahead and just welded it, no water, just free, so whatever. That worked out great. I would not do that on a tank that has had fresh gas in it any time in the past, whatever, 20 years maybe. But as you can see, I did coat it in JB Weld There was a lot of pores over here, a lot of pitting. That's what they call it. A lot of pitting over here on this side. So went ahead and filled every little pit in that I could. For the most part, there's like little pits and whatnot, but I'm just not going to worry about it because this is a thick steel tank. This thing is strong, and it's much thicker than a regular car tank. So the metal I used was also pitted, so I did put a thicker coat on that and a thicker coat around the perimeter of that, especially on the weld, because even though I may have welded it and it enough to not leak, I may have done great, may have done bad, I don't know. But it's already covered up, so we'll never know. And the JB weld will fill in anything that I could have missed, possibly. I think it would have held just fine without the JB weld, but now I don't have to second guess it, so that's great. JB weld has to completely cure before it can withstand gasoline, so I only let this sit for probably 3 or 4 days. Make sure it's hard to the touch, and it's not going to stick or it's not going to peel or anything. And then after that, I'll probably sand it lightly with 220 or something, just to scruff it up, and then paint it with some of this Reform Seal. I'll coat the whole thing with Reform Seal after that hardens, so that'll protect it from rusting on the outside any further, and then the fuel will keep it from rusting on the inside. So alright, I got the fuel tank painted on this side. I gotta flip it over, get the other side done. I guess I'll time lapse that as well. Kinda ran a little bit there, it's not completely dry, but it's raining today and it's been overnight, so it should be dry by now, but it's really smooth. I sanded the JB weld that I slathered on there. I sanded it before putting this on. Looks pretty good. I think my repair is going to hold up just fine. So I'm going to flip this thing over and get the other side painted. Alright, I went ahead and added some bungs. Took some black iron coupling, cut it in half, and wonder if I should put thread tape on that. I'm going to put thread tape on these while I'm thinking about it, otherwise they could leak. I'm pretty confident my welds are going to hold. There's no pressure in this system anyways. Well, shouldn't be in the tank because it'll be vented. But this will allow me to install a return line, supply line, and which I'm not going to use to return, that's why I've got the plug, and this will be the vent. So that'll make it a vented tank. That'll keep it from causing any vapor lock type issues or anything. I'm not sure how this tank was doing without a vent, because the fuel cap over there was completely sealed, and this was a completely sealed tank, so it would have had to draw in air from somewhere to suck fuel out of there. So I don't know how this thing worked, but I'm going to add my own vent with a rollover vent thing mounted up high on the flatbed, or up high underneath the flatbed, and then put my little plug in this side. If I ever make it an EFI system, I can take the plug out, add a return, good to go. So that's the plan with that. The welds look bad, but good welds don't look good, and welds that look good aren't always the strongest. So these should work. I don't see anywhere that looks like it's a gap or anything. This one turned out nicer because I cut it with a I cut this one with a Christmas tree bit. This one I used a hole saw and then kind of screwed it up a little bit, burnt through a little too much. I had my heat setting kind of high, but I wanted it to I wanted good penetration because I don't want any leaks. So I don't think it'll leak. I'll pressure test it before I put it in the thing, and with that I'll probably just blow air into it and see what happens. See if I hear any hissing, maybe spray water on it, I don't know. But we'll try that before I put it in and see what happens. I'm gonna go ahead and get these put in here with some thread tape and get this painted. All right, there it is. I went ahead and cleaned up that barb fitting there, and then taped it and painted around it to get it coated as much as I could, just to coat everything evenly, you know. And then taped this off so nothing would get in there. Even after I painted it, I was like, well, too late now, but I'm still gonna do it. So it actually looks like there's some that's drying right there already. Kind of looks like there's a chunk in it too, but I'm not gonna mess with that. Just is what it is. So this thing shouldn't rust anymore from the outside. If anything, it'll be the inside because it's still a little rusty in there, but it'll clean up with fuel, and I've got a bunch of fuel filters. So I went on the Jungle website and I ordered 10 fuel filters, 3/8. These are just cheap Chinese, whatever, don't care. They will filter out the big stuff, and it can chew on everything else. So we'll throw one of these before the pump and one of them before the carb, and that'll be good enough. And I can change that 5 times because I have 10 of them. So I've got brake lines, front brake lines, fuel, well, no, oil filter thing, carb rebuild kit. I believe this is a rear brake line, maybe. Fuel line, brake line, hose fitting that I got from the hardware store. So a lot of stuff in here. Well, that right there is the brake line. So what's this box? Oh, the fuel pump. So Chinese fuel pump. Just go to Amazon and buy the cheapest parts you can find. That's how you make them run. Alright, fuel tank's finally dry. I'm out here this morning getting the fuel level sender put in. I took this thing apart, cleaned it up. All I had to do is fold those 3 little tabs back, pulled it apart, cleaned up everything inside. The cool in there that gives you the reading looks good. So putting it back together now. I gotta find the bolt that goes on the top there. I was gonna try and see if I could use parts off this one. If anything else, if I couldn't get the other one to work, I'm about to test it and see if it's gonna work now that I've cleaned it. This one works pretty good, but I don't think it's the right ohm reading. This is a universal style, so you can set these up for any size tank, but you can only get them in certain readings. This one's, I don't think, right for what I need. So I'm gonna go ahead and test this, see if it's working now that I've cleaned it up, and get the rust cleaned off. See if I can find some RTV or something. Slam it back down in there, and the tank will be done. Alright, I got the fuel level sender in there. I took it back apart and cleaned it some more. It's reading pretty decent enough. I'll know when it's empty. All I had is red RTV, so I went ahead and just smeared that all over it. Once that dries, it should be fuel resistant enough. At least I think it is. But that's in. So the tank is basically done. I just got to install it now. So I'm gonna take all my parts up there, my box of new stuff, get this thing up there, and get it in the truck. Alright, I got the fuel tank back up in there. Got my lines hanging out for the vent. I'll put the vent line up somewhere up there somewhere so it can vent. The feed line, got to hook up the fill hose and all that, and tighten this thing down. I lost a nut that goes there, so got to find that, get that put on, and this thing will be ready for fuel. So alright, back up top, got the fuel tank installed, all the lines connected and stuff. I'm working on the fuel line here. Got the line going to the pump there. I blew air through the metal line on the frame rail, and I got air to come through. So now I've got to get down in there and hook up this end. I got a line on the pump, just got to hook that to the metal line. So I'm gonna get that hooked up and hook it to the carburetor with a fuel filter in line, of course. And hopefully that pump starts working down there. I've got an electric pump. I don't anticipate it working, but if it does, I'll have the filters line and I'll be ready. So still got to put some fuel in this thing. Looks like I haven't tightened down the carburetor yet either. Get the carburetor tightened down. I don't think I showed this yet. So I made this thing. So another thing I got to do, I got to hook up a new ignition box because this one's got goo coming out. So I made this the other day. It's it's got a HEI module in it. So you can hook these things up to 4 distributors, no problem. Just gotta hook up the right wires, and they work just fine with a DuraSpark distributor, and any cool pretty much will work with them. So you get some connectors, hook this thing up, and I can mount it in the factory location over here where the old DuraSpark is at. And I'll probably take that DuraSpark, gut it, and do the same thing. This one's not dead, but the goo coming out means that it'll be dead soon. So we'll get that hooked up, sometime eventually. I might just drive it with the old Durspark on it just to see how long it lasts. Just keep that one handy when I do have to change it, because I know that I probably will. So I'm going to go ahead and finish getting my fuel lines connected down there. Get the carburetor bolted down all the way. I've also got a line kit for the oil pressure situation, so we'll get that put on there too. That way we don't forget it, and be able to fire this thing up. So I'm gonna set the camera up and just do some work, get some stuff done, and I'll be back momentarily. Alright, I'm gonna hook up my oil pressure gauge here, and they've got this thing here for a gauge, but oil pressure gauge that was in it doesn't fit. So I'm gonna take a file that out, get it hooked up, and I got the copper line here that I'm gonna use. So that'll be a lot better than the plastic that was in it that rotted away. They did have this attached to the steering column with a zip tie, but I'm going to use the little pod thing somebody put in here, and or the bracket, I guess you'd call it, to put my gauge pod. I guess it's a pod after you put the gauge in the bracket. That's what makes it a pod, right? Anyway, I'm going to put my gauge in. I think I'm going to use the new one though, because it has the spinny thing that holds it in place. So get that installed real quick, and keep on buttoning things up here. I used the chainsaw file to do that. Didn't take much filing at all to get that in there. So I'm not sure what gauge they had in there before, but it wouldn't fit a standard size little 2-inch or whatever these are. So it does now, so that's cool. Let's get the engine bay cleaned up. Alright, I started to install this one, and as I was tightening it up, I noticed that it's already got 25 pounds oil pressure. So that's weird. So I went ahead and installed the original one, or the one that was in it, back in it. So that should work, I guess. I don't know, we'll see. Alright, I got my oil pressure thing hooked up. Just kind of looking over everything here. Looks like the only thing I've got left is to hook up the battery. I gotta put a solenoid on it. And I gotta put fuel in it. So that'll be everything it needs to drive down the road. Before I do that though, I've got to put a radiator in it, and I've got brake lines, but I'm probably not going to get to those today. So I'm pretty close to being able to drive it down the road. I definitely want to do that radiator, that way it doesn't overheat while I'm doing it. So I've got to run out and get some coolant and gas. I'm gonna get a gas jug, fill up the gas tank, get some coolant, replace the radiator. I guess I'll film the radiator. That'll be pretty easy to replace. A couple bolts, pulls right out. Hopefully these lines are good. They feel like they're gonna work. Wow, we're really close here. So I'm just gonna go get what I need, set the camera up, get this radiator swapped out, and we'll be about ready to fire it up and go. Alright, that was the fastest radiator swap I've ever done. That took all of 10 minutes. Let's get around here where you can see it. There we go. Yeah, that took all of like 10 minutes. So, yeah. That bracket looks like it could be tightened some more there, maybe. Oh, that's out of whack. I guess that's how it goes. Looks a little out of whack, but it's in there really solid, so I'm gonna leave it. I've got to get the overflow line hooked up to the tank, and by hooked up I mean it just goes right there into the tank. So get that hooked up there. I'm gonna get zip ties and tie this thing to the radiator. I tried to use the bracket that somebody had on it, but the issue with the bracket is it's supposed to go right here and bolt to the shroud, but there's nothing there to bolt to on the shroud. So we're just gonna zip tie in these holes, whatever holes we can zip tie in. Takes care of that. And gotta fill it with coolant too. So now I gotta fill it with coolant. So I'm gonna go see what I can dig out of the shop. I'm not sure if I have any new or not. I don't think so. But so if I have to go buy it, I'll buy coolant, buy some gas, go steal a battery off something else, hook that up. We are almost ready. It's getting really close, and it's all just a little piddly stuff that just sucks. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock this stuff out, and I'll come back when it's got a battery in it. All right, I got fuel in the tank. I've got coolant in the radiator. I've got a battery in it finally. I cranked it a little bit. I didn't expect anything to happen. Well, that looks like fuel or gunk. Okay, so that leads me to believe that the fuel pump is working. I sprayed some brake fluid in the down that line, and a bunch down in the line down there. So that's what's coming through. So that'll be good. This means that the pump works and I don't have to put the electric on it. I'm gonna go get a tool now, tighten up this battery terminal, and put something down the throat probably, and then see if I can get this thing to fire. Oh, and a belt. So this belt, this is for the alternator. I don't really need it for a test drive, but it would be nice to have. So I'm going to see if I have a belt this size. I really doubt it, but I'll try. So I'm going to go get my tools, get that battery connection tightened up, and set my camera up, and we'll see if it fires up and drives for the first time in well, the plate says 95-ish, but you can see where there's been 5 stickers peeled off since then. So, see what the window sticker says. It does not have one. Highway transportation inspection expires 85. That's pretty cool though. So, we have no idea when this thing was last on the road. It's probably been about 20 years. That says 99 down there. I wonder if that's an indication of anything. I don't know what the old bicentennial Tennessee plate, what year they were doing those. Yeah, if you have any idea what year that plate came from, let me know. But yeah, I'm gonna set the camera up, see if it fires up, and go for a little test drive. good enough. See the oil pressure. Let's see what we got on oil pressure. Oh my God. 80 PSI of oil pressure. Actually, that's, yeah, it's 80, right? Yeah. Wow, 80 PSI of oil pressure. Set for, I don't know how long. Sitting here running. She's smoking a little bit, but let's, oh yeah, smoking pretty good, eh? Oh. All right, while it's running, let's see what it does when I try and put it in gear, see if the brakes work, all that. Goes into gear. That woman about ran off the road. I think my throttle's stuck. I better go look. If I could get it to hang out between full throttle and not full throttle, that'd be nice. See if reverse works while we're at it. Alright, there's reverse. It has reverse. Oh, did we lose first? Alright, we lost first. Well, there you have it. We lost first there for some reason. But runs and drives after I don't know how long. I would take it down the road, but with the throttle sticking, it really needs a return spring. So maybe I get a spring on that, and it's got the little thing for the return spring, so I'll put one of those on there. This thing is burning off a lot of oil from those manifolds. Wow. I think someone needs valve cover gaskets. Well, that went pretty good after I let the fuel pump to start working and actually getting fuel to come up. That was awesome. Running and driving. And I didn't get to test the brakes, but I assume they do work. It felt like they were working. I hate to say that and then be wrong, but I think I'm gonna find a return spring and go for a proper test drive. The oil pressure immediately dropped down. I wish I had any gauges at all other than a charge gauge, which is probably wrong. I wish you could smell it. It smells like burning oil, like old oil too. It doesn't smell like new oil. All right, I gotta crawl under this thing and check the clutch linkage and put a spring on that return, or put a return spring on that thing, and we'll try and do another little test drive. Okay, went ahead and pulled the top cover off. This looks all normal. The oil looks decent-ish. I mean, it's not overly... I mean, the oil looks pretty good. Piece of something there that fell in. Try to keep all the gunk from falling in. This is really bad up here. That's about to like I gotta do something about that. I don't know what to do about that. That's a bunch of dirt that's about to fall right in the transmission, and some of it already has, so that's good. That sucks. So I don't see... Oh, you know what? You know what's weird about this? This is spinning. That's the main shaft that's spinning. If you look back here, that's the drive line. The drive line is connected to the rear end, and it doesn't spin unless the wheels spin, right? That's interesting. Okay, just taking a peek under the truck because something strange is going on here. And I don't know if you can see the problem. You probably won't be able to. It's not super obvious why it's not moving. But I'm just going to kind of pull out a little bit, zoom out a little bit and look. I don't know why it's not. I don't know why we're not going anywhere. Someone must have forgot to tighten something somewhere. I'm not sure what it is, though. It's definitely not obvious what it is. So that's very interesting. Hand tight was not enough. Now, how do I get that top cover back on the transmission without getting all that gunk in there? This is a problem. So, what has happened is I got in a hurry. I put them in hand tight on the U-joint, and it decided hand tight was not enough. So what I'm going to do is probably end up putting a new U-joint in that. But for now, I'm just going to see what parts are missing, what I need. I'll probably need the straps to hold it into the rear end as well. So I'm going to get that figured out probably tomorrow. Should be able to get all the parts locally. This sucks. Don't get in a hurry because this is what happens. So let's put the transmission back together. I was like, man, it sounds like the transmission's grinding when I put it in gear. But no, it was the freaking drive shaft bouncing off the frame. So that's nice. I'm gonna go ahead and put that thing back together, maybe with a little bit of RTD or something. Transmission works, you know, that's, yeah, woohoo. Dang it, I shouldn't have done that. Well, let's fix it and move along. Alright, that looks exactly like how I started, so we're good there. Let's get that U-joint now. Alright, I got the U-joint back together. I cleaned up the needle bearings with some mineral spirits, got the old grease out. That worked pretty good. I put new grease in there, so they should be good. I cleaned all the dirt out of the U-joint, the cross section or whatever. Had mud inside of it, so that's all good to go now. I also picked up this Edelbroken air cleaner, 14-inch I think, but that should breathe a lot better than that little tiny one I had on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing fired up and do a test drive now. Okay, also put a throttle return spring on this thing. Just attached it to where the throttle cable attaches. And this bracket was already here, so that works out good. I'll have to get my dikes or whatever and cut that off. But it's one of those make your own length situations. So we'll cut the end of that off so it fits right and get rid of this big pigtail. And that'll work for the return spring. So, oh, and the fuel. Since yesterday, you can see how much this gas has darkened from the old fueling lines, which it's good and bad. It means it's cleaning up, dissolving what's old that's in there, and the new stuff will dilute it, clean up the system. Hopefully any chunks get caught in the filter. Not too worried about the old varnish, just it'll get better and better as it goes. I'll probably put seafoam in there too after I change the filter out, and that'll really do it. Or maybe Berryman B12 or something, one of those, to get this thing to get the fuel system just cleaned up good, so make it run nice. Looks like I'm ready to fire this thing up now. So, oh, actually, I almost forgot. Went and ordered some belts, so I'll probably throw the belt on before I fire this thing up. I was looking at it. It looks like I need to use the front pulley on this situation here. The rear one looks like it was unused. So, and for a second there, I thought it had like a dual belt set up, but it looks like this one's larger than that one. So we'll put it on the outermost groove on the pulleys. So I'll get my alternator belt on here. I also ordered a fan belt and power steering belt. This one looks all right, and I'll probably just leave it, but I'll have it in the truck as a backup because I do plan on driving this thing and using it for, you know, to do work in. So let's go ahead and get this battery cable hooked back up and fire it up and see if it drives. All right, I had the grease gun out doing that U-joint, so I went ahead and hit the ball joints, upper, lower, steering joints and all those, every side. So these are all lubricated up, so hopefully this thing has decent ball joints. I don't know, probably the first time they've ever been lubricated. But then again, some of these things on this truck look newish and good, so I have no clue. All right, so I went to get the belt for the alternator, and I came back with a belt for power steering. I had them order it, went to get it, and they only got one of the belts. I've got a belt for the power steering though. I really need the alternator belt. So out of the two, they had a 50-50 chance of getting me at least one of the right belts. And they got me the one I didn't really need, I just wanted to replace. So that's good. I guess I should have just asked for one. But that's okay. It's raining now, so it's a really good time to set the camera up and test drive a little bit. I'm gonna at least try and get this thing down the road. I guess it'll just have to slowly kill my battery. Wow, that sounds kind of... bearings sound a little worn out in that alternator. Not any shaft play or anything, but it just makes this noise when you spin it, but that'll be alright. I'm gonna go ahead and set the camera up. Let's do a test drive already. It's doing it. I'm barely giving it any throttle, and it's just, oh, it's got some torque. It's doing the thing. I can't believe it. Wow. I'm in third right now. Looks like we don't have a speedometer that I can tell. Let's see if I can pull around in this person's driveway here. He won't mind. Yeah, well, I'm gonna get this out of the road.
It is nice though.
It's something.
It'll come in handy.
Yeah. Yeah. Fire's right up. Need to increase the idle though, work on the fuel mixture and all that. See ya. We're doing it. I'm getting some speed around this one. I can't believe it. Running, driving after probably 30 years. I don't know how long it's been. I'm gonna see if I can pull it in front of the shop down here. I gotta set the phone down for this one. All right, here it is. Pond for scale. Wow, it did it on the road for the first time in I'm gonna say possibly 30 years, maybe 20 years, maybe it's not even been 10 years, I don't know. But it's set here for a year and a half, maybe 2 years, I think. And a little bit of work, we got it driving again. Let's check this fuel filter. Okay, that feels hot, smells hot. Battery dislodged on me there. There we go. Get that back where it goes. The filter, you can see the dirt. Let's get the camera over here. You can see the dirt. Oh wow, there's a lot of dirt in there actually. But the mechanical pump is working. Oh, I feel that cold fuel coming up. Oh yeah. So probably change that filter out eventually. It's still got some life in it, but you definitely don't want to run these for a long time, because these are the ones that melt and destroy engines and whatnot. So I'm not gonna run that forever, just long enough for the tank to get cleaned up. I need to check the one back underneath to see what it looks like coming out of the tank. So let's go ahead and check that. Before I do that, let's check the oil. See what this thing's got in it. It was smoking, but it wasn't smoking as bad after I pulled in. After going down the road and back, it was better. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So let's get where the camera can see what's going on here. That is some clean looking oil, if you ask me. See what it smells like. Just smells like old oil. I don't smell any gas or anything. The main big thing I'm worried about with this one, where I'm using the that pump that's been on there for probably 30-40 years, is well, where's the hole at? There it is. Let's see. Oh, there it is. All right. Yeah, so what I'm worried about with that old fuel pump is gas leaking past the seals and going into the engine. I didn't smell any fuel, just old oil, so that's good. So right now the fuel pump is still doing the thing, so that's good. Radiator, it's a little warm, doesn't feel hot, so we didn't. Oh, there's a little bit of pressure in there. That's good. So it's holding pressure. Cooling system is working. I feel some heat, but not much. So it's not getting too hot. I need to put a temperature sender in it. If you look down there in between everything, that's a bolt, I think, where the temp sender is supposed to go. So I'm probably gonna have to investigate that, because I'd like to know what temperature it's running at. Actually, that's a temperature thing, right? That's like the vacuum temperature thing or something. I assume it's temperature because it's on the thermostat thing. Oh, and there's even another. I could take that out and put a temperature probe in there. So I've got options for temperature probes. That's what I'm saying. So that's good. I'm gonna have to get that set up so I can monitor temperature, because I don't want to overheat. Another thing, the gauges are not working. I did not have any speed. I didn't check the rest of the gauges because I was too excited just driving it. So got to figure out my gauges, make sure those work. Just trying to think through a list of what I got to do to make this good. Probably should clean those valve covers up. They don't look right with that, the chrome and one of the first things I'm going to do is vacuum the engine bay out, get all this stuff cleaned up and all that. So let's go ahead and check the other fuel filter in the back now. We've seen this one, so let's see what the other one looks like. Okay, look at that. I got the dolly wheels on it now, finally. So it's got the proper offset. Looks a lot better than those crazy looking singles. But so I guess I'll explain how I did this, because there's no, point the camera in the right place, there's nothing around here to center this wheel. And you may notice that I've used conical lug nuts. What I've done is I ordered a 90-degree cone, or a 90-degree conical bit, I guess you'd call it. And I did these four, I made them cone shaped. These four, I left them flat. I used the cone shaped holes to center it, and then I flipped the nuts around backwards and tightened them up. I need to get some washer nuts if I'm going to do that, but this will be fine for now. I might decide to just cone all of these out. That way I can use them all the right direction, and that'll be better than just having 4 of them. But for now, this will work. So it's now lug centric off of these 4, and then not centric at all on these other 4, which are flipped backwards in order to hold it tightly on there. Something else that I found out in the process is this nut looks slightly different than the rest. It's got some paint on it and stuff. That's because it came off a tractor. It just so happened that the parts tractor for the other tractor had the same size lugs, so I borrowed a nut off that to get all of them. I was only missing 1 somehow, which is pretty good considering how many owners this thing's probably been through. Missing 1 lug nut, that's pretty good. But that's just the front. The rears were missing more than 1, so that's a whole nother story. I'll have to get some more lug nuts for that, but the fronts are pretty good for now. Okay, I was just checking the back here. On the driver's side, I've got all the lug nuts. Passenger side, I'm missing 3 of them, so I got the 4 main ones there, and there, and then we got that one there. So only 5 lug nuts, but if 5 wouldn't hold it, then you know, I don't think 6 would either, but or 8. So I guess I'll just use this for my own reference. I need to get 3 lug nuts for this side. So oh, and another thing before I do something else, before I forget, this on the back here, I drilled these out. I drilled the wheels out to the exact size of the studs, and that way it would be centered on the studs. The inner rim is hub centric on this hub, but the outer rim is, there's no hub to center it on because the lip doesn't stick out far enough. So the outer rim is centered on the lugs because the holes are so tight, but it's good enough. That's how the previous owners had it, so it's good enough for me. Must have worked for them, so I'm going to keep it that way. Okay, there's the fuel filter coming out of the tank. This looks a little bit in there. Block the glare if I can. I don't know. Well, anyway, you can kind of see it. There is some dirt in there, so that filter is working. Doesn't look too bad. I got most of it out with the vacuum and the air brush, air hose. Oh yeah, if I turn it like that, you can really tell the difference between that side and the bottom of it. You can see it go up. You can see it kind of moving around in there, but yeah, so worked out pretty good. We got a lot of the dirt out of the system, so, or the rust. Alright, if you want to see me haul something on this truck, make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all that. I'm going to end the video here. We've got a lot done in this video. I finally got it to run and drive. Unlike last video, I kind of it just didn't go well. So it's running and driving now. That's great. We're going to use it. First thing I got to do is needle scale all the rust off of that side of the truck. Get that cleaned up. Then we're going to drive this thing to the car wash. Wash it, make it look nice. Get the engine bay cleaned up. Probably do a couple of things in there. Maybe fix a little bit of the wiring and whatnot. Get the gauges working and all that stuff. And after that, we'll just use it for its intended purpose. So make sure you leave a like, and we'll see you guys next time.